Welcome, and welcome, Marty Frost. Thank you so much for being a part of the impact economy.
Yeah, I mean, I think things like the impact economy. I love the way this conference is coming together, and I'm really quite excited about being there. And 'cause I think the people that are coming, the sense I get is that they are all active thinkers. You know, there's not a lot of sort of inertia there. You know, like people do seem to be thinking on their feet and thinking actively, and I think that's the kind of thing we need to have happening. Uh, I guess my pessimism arises when I think about the extent to which that group of people, myself and others, have access to the corridors of power, like the places where decisions get made that affect all our lives. And I think that that we don't have control of that. And you know, and so the sort of the really large scale changes in some way. I don't know how effective we can be right now in terms of large scale changes.
Okay.
So that's where my pessimism arises.
Fair enough. What do you think the questions that we need to ask ourselves are?
The questions. Well, I think some of the stuff that's been talked about in the lead up to the conference, you know, it's just kind of like, what is your vision? You know, what do you see, or how do you see yourself sort of acting within the context of the sort of paradigm within which we live? That kind of thing. You know, I think those are sort of the questions. I think. Yeah, and well, I guess also I sometimes find it hard to reconcile the decisions that are made by sort of our leaders, how they can possibly, like, there just seems to be a disconnect between what I see as the situation that exists around us and the kinds of decisions that are being made.
Yes, yes, fair enough. Well, thank you for that. I think that it's important for all of us to consider those questions. What roles do you play in community?
Yeah, I think in some ways, I think I see myself as the word I use is a technician. In other words, you know, I work with groups a lot in terms of sort of establishing a vision of different communities. Let me say first that my decision in terms of addressing these issues is I work at sort of a small level, community level. You know, I'm not involved in a lot of real global movements or anything like that. So because I think that change has to happen on the ground. So that's what I do. I work to try and facilitate change on the ground.
And specifically, maybe you could share the work that you do within co-ops and the cooperative movement.
One of the things that sort of persists behind all of this is we have to find ways of organizing ourselves into groups. Individually, we can have an impact. As a group of people, we can have a greater impact. And when it comes to things like ownership of assets, or if not like ownership in the broader sense, in the sense that you take responsibility for sort of the care and shepherding of these assets. You have to have models of working together. You have to have frameworks within which you can work. In terms of sort of interfacing with the dominant economy, I've chosen the co-op model as the closest thing that I can see that really does have the capacity to bring power to people on the ground, and at the same time work effectively within the dominant economy.
Yes. And what's your role within the impact economy?
I think giving people the tools they need to do exactly that, to find models within which they can hold tools collectively, can control assets collectively, and sort of work together within a sort of a framework, again, that has a sort of a link with the dominant economy, but is not necessarily dominated by it.
So fantastic, great. So you have been helping the Citizens Media incorporate as a co-op. That's part of what I've seen you've been working on with this.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. We did we've done a lot of talk around how the co-op itself will be structured, and also, sort of what the work is that the co-op will be doing, and how it can best set itself up to do that effectively.
Do you see your work integrating with others at the summit?
Right, right. I guess I just go back to what I said earlier, Tammy, and that is that whatever we do, you know, at least at present, has to find some way of fitting into the economic environment around us. I don't think we can isolate ourselves enough to avoid that. And I think that what I bring to the table, I think, is a pretty good knowledge of ways of taking people's ideas and thoughts and needs and translating them into some sort of structure that will interface with the dominant economy, if not, and without, I would hope, being subservient to it.
Marty, what are some of the questions that you'd like to have answered at this summit?
I have all kinds of questions about alternative currencies, all kinds of questions. And I know that some of the great thinkers of the world in alternative currencies are going to be there. And so I'm quite looking forward to that. I'm also, and just the other things, the people that are coming and the kinds of things they're involved in. I really, I'm looking forward to kind of immersing myself in that world and that mindset for a few days. I think that's going to be wonderful from my point of view, and then of course my work there is going to be sort of taking that and seeing where there are applications for setting up the what is now the I3 co-op. So yeah, and that's going to be totally enjoyable.
Great. Are there people that you think should be at the summit that you know of that may want to attend?
Well, I see Carolyn's in touch with John Rostakis. I think John will be a good addition to the conference. I also appreciate the idea of trying to bring in a couple of credit union leaders. And I think that the identification of Vancity and CCEC as sample credit unions to be there is a good choice.
What are your hopes, Marty, for this summit?
Oh gosh, it's it's a pretty big topic. I mean, my hopes for the summit. My first hope, of course, is that we come up with some additions to a really good, clear vision for the co-op and for the co-op's business plan in particular, like how it's going to operate, where it's going to operate, that kind of thing. And I think that with the minds in the room, I think that we can really add to that vision, and from the vision, be able to sort of craft up a business direction for the co-op, as well as the sort of the philosophical, political direction that we see the co-op taking. So that's sort of my first hope. My second hope, of course, is, like I say, to just, I really am looking forward to immersing my own head in this whole milieu for a few days, and just because I think a lot about this stuff, and I very seldom get a chance to actually sit down and talk with people about it. And so I'm quite looking forward to that.
Thank you, Marty. Really appreciate your time and your energy and how much you've put into this project already, and absolutely looking forward to collaborating with you and working with you at the summit.
That's mutual, Tammy. I'm really looking forward to it.